For the past 6 years, I have been tracking grocery discontinuations at every major chain across North America. Not because I enjoy it, because I learned the hard way that when companies quietly phase out products, they do it fast and they do it without warning. While everyone is panic buying the latest viral TikTok snack, I'm quietly loading my cart with items that are about to vanish forever. Number 9 is sitting at your local Costco right now for under $12. And when I tell you what food scientists just confirmed about its shelf stability, you are going to sprint to the store. The problem is that when everyone reads the same grocery blogs and follows the same influencers, they all miss the insider memos, the supplier emails, the quiet SKU deletions that happen 3 months before the shelf tags disappear. Back in fall of 2021, I watched Trader Joe's discontinue an item I had been buying for years. It was there on a Tuesday, gone by Saturday. No announcement, no final sale, just gone. But I knew it was coming because I pay attention to the patterns nobody else watches. And right now, this spring, 12 items are on the chopping block at stores you shop at every single week. If you have not subscribed yet, do that now, because I release these discontinuation lists the moment I confirm them, and you do not want to be the person finding out after fact. Let me start with something that is going to make you check your pantry immediately. This one sounds boring, but it is absolute gold. Hidden Valley Ranch Seasoning Mix in the 1-pound shaker. Not the packets, the shaker. Costco and Sam's Club are both phasing this out by May. And here's what nobody talks about. This is not just ranch seasoning. This is a flavor delivery system that turns cheap staples into actual meals. Just 2 tablespoons mixed into sour cream gives you a dip that costs 30 cents and tastes better than anything in a plastic tub at the grocery store. I have a shaker in my pantry that is 2 years old, still perfect, no clumping, no flavor loss. The packets are staying on shelves because they are higher margin for the stores. Smaller size, more packaging, more profit. But the bulk shakers, they are getting discontinued because not enough people know they exist. A 1-pound shaker costs $11 at Costco right now. That is the equivalent of 16 packets, which would cost you over $24 if you bought them individually at a regular grocery store. Last spring, when my extended family came to visit for a week, I made a ranch veggie tray, ranch roasted potatoes, ranch chicken, and ranch popcorn, all from one shaker. Total seasoning cost for feeding 9 people multiple meals? Maybe $2. Meanwhile, people are spending $8 on a tiny bottle of specialty seasoning that they use once and forget about. Here is why this survives under the radar. It is not trendy. It does not have clean packaging or influencer endorsements. It just works. And because most people do not even know the shaker format exists, there is no panic buying when it disappears. Grab 3 or 4 before they're gone. Look, grocery prices are rising faster than most families can adjust their budgets. I have done the math for you and put together a free discontinued item alert list that shows you exactly which 12 items are disappearing, which stores still have stock, and what to buy instead if you are too late. It saves you from wasting money replacing favorites you did not know were vanishing and cost you nothing. You can grab it free at the link in the description, so you can stop guessing what is about to disappear and start shopping with insider information. Number 2 is going to sound strange until you hear the reason. Nestle Toll House semi-sweet morsels in the 40-ounce bag. Target and Walmart are both discontinuing this size by late April. The 12-ounce bags are staying. The weird 24-ounce bags are staying. But the 40-ounce? Gone. A category manager I know who has worked in grocery distribution for 18 years told me this is purely a logistics decision. The 40-ounce bags do not fit the new shelf modulars they are rolling out chain-wide. That is it. Not about sales. Not about ingredients. Just shelf space math. But here's the insight nobody else is sharing. This is the best price per ounce format for chocolate chips you will ever find. Right now, the 40-ounce bag costs around $9. That is 22 cents per ounce. The 12-ounce bags cost $4.50, which is 37 cents per ounce. You are paying almost 70% more for the exact same chocolate in a smaller bag just because the big one is going away. I bought 6 bags last month and vacuum sealed them in 1-pound portions. Stored in a cool, dark cabinet, chocolate chips last indefinitely. I have used chips that were 3 years old. Zero difference in taste or texture. Here's what I do. I keep one bag open in the pantry for regular baking, and the rest vacuum sealed in the back of my pantry closet. When I need more, I pull a bag, and it is like I just bought it yesterday. This is not a prepper move. This is just smart shopping when you know something is disappearing. Most people will not notice this is gone until they reach for it in June and find a smaller, more expensive bag in its place. You will already have a year's supply. Number 3 is something you probably walk past every time you are at the store. International Delight French Vanilla Creamer in the 64-ounce bottle. Kroger, Albertsons, and Safeway are all discontinuing this size in early May. The 32-ounce is staying, but the big bottle is getting axed. I know this sounds like a weird thing to care about, but stay with me. If you have someone in your house who drinks coffee every single day and uses creamer, the cost difference is insane. A 64-ounce bottle costs $5 right now. A 32-ounce bottle costs $3.50. You are paying 40% more per ounce just because the larger format is going away. And here's the kicker. The 64-ounce bottle has a longer use-by date because it moves slower on shelves, so stores order fresher stock. I discovered this by accident last year when I compared date codes. The big bottles consistently had dates 60 to 90 days further out than the small ones. Last month, I bought 4 of the big bottles. I opened one and kept 3 sealed in the fridge. Unopened creamer lasts months past a date if kept cold. I opened a bottle last week that was 4 months past its printed date. Tasted perfect. No separation. No off smell. Here's the real reason this matters. When you are buying the smaller size out of necessity instead of choice, you're spending an extra $100 a year on the exact same product. That is a month of groceries for some families. And it is totally avoidable if you just stock up now before the big format disappears. Most people will shrug this off. Smart shoppers will grab a few extra. This one sounds like a niche product, but it is about to make certain recipes impossible to make. McCormick Herbs de Provence in the bulk restaurant size container. This is the 1-pound plastic jar, not the tiny Spice Aisle bottle. Sam's Club and Restaurant Depot are discontinuing it by mid-April. The small bottles are staying in regular grocery stores, but the bulk size is vanishing. Here is what nobody tells you. Herbs de Provence is not one herb. It is a blend of 7. Thyme, rosemary, oregano, marjoram, basil, lavender, and savender. If you try to buy those separately in the little bottles, you would spend over $40 to replicate what is in this 1-pound jar that costs $14. A chef I know who has run kitchens for 22 years told me this blend is the secret to making cheap cuts of meat taste expensive. Just a tablespoon rubbed on chicken thighs before roasting, and people think you bought something fancy. I used this blend on a pork shoulder roast last winter during a dinner party. 3 people asked me for the recipe. It was a $4 pork shoulder and 2 tablespoons of herbs. That is it. The 1-pound jar lasts me about 18 months, and I cook from scratch 5 nights a week. If you bought the small bottles every time you needed this blend, you would spend 10 times more over the same period. Here's the storage trick. Keep the jar in a cool, dark cabinet, not above the stove, not in a sunny window, just a regular cabinet. Dried herbs lose potency from heat and light, not time. I have herbs in my pantry that are 4 years old and still smell strong. Most people do not even know this bulk size exists, which is exactly why it is getting quietly discontinued. If you cook at all, grab one now. Number 5 is going to surprise you because it is a breakfast staple. Quaker Oats Old-Fashioned Oats in the 10-pound bag. Costco is discontinuing this by the end of April. The smaller canisters are staying everywhere, but the big 10-pound bag? Gone. This is a staple item that's stored for decades if you do it right, and it is about to become way more expensive to buy in smaller amounts. Right now, the 10-pound bag costs around $12 at Costco. That is $1.20 per pound. The regular 42-ounce canister at a grocery store costs about $6, which is $2.28 per pound. You are paying almost double per pound just because you are buying a smaller container. I have been storing oats in 5-gallon food-grade buckets with gamma lids for the past 8 years. Oats from 2017 still taste fresh. No rancidity. No bugs. Just perfectly good oats. Here's exactly what I do. Buy the 10-pound bag, Transfer it into a food-grade bucket, snap the lid on, and store in a cool, dry place. That is it. No oxygen absorbers needed for oats you plan to use within a few years. No fancy Mylar bags. Just a bucket with a tight lid. Last winter, during a week-long power outage, we made oatmeal on a camping stove every morning. We had apples from the cold garage, cinnamon from the pantry, and oats from a bucket. Total cost per breakfast for 4 people was under $2. Meanwhile, neighbors were driving 20 minutes to the only open fast food place and spending $40 on breakfast. Oats are cheap, filling, versatile, and they store forever. But most people do not buy the big bags because they do not know how to store them properly. Now, the big bags are disappearing, and you'll be stuck paying double for the same oats in a decorative canister. Grab 2 or 3 bags while they're still around. Here is one that nobody is talking about, and it is going to hurt. Ken's Steakhouse ranch dressing in the gallon jug. This is a restaurant supply item, but regular people can buy it at Gordon Food Service, Restaurant Depot, and some Costco locations. It is getting discontinued at all major distributors by May. The smaller bottles are staying on grocery store shelves, but the gallon jug is done. If you have a family that goes through ranch dressing like water, this is a crushing loss. A gallon jug costs around $11 at restaurant supply stores. That is less than $3 per quart. A regular bottle of Ken's Ranch at a grocery store is about $4.50 for 16 ounces. That is $9 per quart. You are paying 3 times more per ounce of the exact same dressing, just because it is in a smaller bottle with a fancier label. I go through about a gallon of ranch every 2 months in my house. Salads, dipping sauce for veggies, chicken marinade, pizza dip. We use it constantly. Last year, I bought 3 gallons when they were on sale. I kept 1 in the fridge and 2 in the garage fridge. Unopened ranch dressing lasts 6 months easy, even past the printed date, as long as it stays cold. I opened a jug last week that was 7 months old. Tasted exactly like a fresh one. No separation. No weird smell. Here is the important part. Once the gallon jugs are gone, you are stuck buying the small bottles at triple price, or you switch to a brand you do not like as much. Neither option is good. And here is what makes this worse. The small bottles do not last as long because you are opening and closing them more often, exposing the dressing to air and bacteria from double dipping. The gallon jug sits in the fridge. You pour from it into a smaller container for the table, and the main jug stays sealed and fresh. If ranch dressing is a staple in your house, this discontinuation is going to cost you hundreds of dollars a year. Grab a couple jugs now while you still can. This next one is a baking essential, and losing it is going to make homemade cookies way more expensive. C&H Pure Cane Sugar in the 25-pound bag. Walmart, Kroger, and Meijer are all discontinuing this size by late April. The 10-pound and smaller bags are staying, but the big 25-pound bag is getting cut. Right now, a 25-pound bag costs around $18. That is 72 cents per pound. A 4-pound bag costs about $3.50, which is 87 cents per pound. Buying the smaller bags means you're paying 20% more for the exact same sugar. But here is the bigger issue. Sugar is one of the most stable ingredients you can store. It does not spoil. It does not go rancid. It does not attract bugs if stored in an airtight container. I have sugar in my pantry that is over 5 years old. Still pours perfectly. Still tastes identical to fresh sugar. Because sugar does not go bad. Last spring I baked for a fundraiser bake sale. I made 12 dozen cookies, 4 batches of brownies, and 3 cakes. I use about 15 pounds of sugar total. If I had been buying 4-pound bags, I would have spent over $13 just on sugar. I spent $7 because I buy the 25-pound bags. Here's what I do. I buy 2 or 3 of the big bags, store them in a 5-gallon bucket with Gamma lid, and I do not think about buying sugar for a year. No bugs, no clumping, no waste. This is a kind of quiet discontinuation that nobody notices until 6 months later when they realize they are spending way more on sugar without understanding why. The big bags are going away because stores make more profit on smaller packages. You open and close them more. They take up more shelf space per pound. They look less intimidating to casual shoppers. But for anyone who bakes regularly, this is a massive loss. Stock up now. Number 8 is going to sound too simple to matter, but trust me on this. Progresso Traditional Chicken Noodle Soup in the 18.5-ounce can. Target, Walmart, and Albertsons are discontinuing this size by early May. The regular cans and the larger family-size cans are staying, but this specific size is getting cut. Here is why this matters. This is a single-serve size that is big enough for an actual meal, not just a snack. The smaller cans are 14 ounces, which is not enough food for an adult. The family-size cans are 26 ounces, which is too much for one person and does not store well once opened. This 18.5-ounce size is a perfect middle ground, and it is disappearing. A case of 12 cans costs about $20 at Costco right now when it is on sale. That is $1.67 per can. After this size is discontinued, you'll be forced to buy the smaller cans at about $2 each, or the big cans at $3.50 each and waste half of it. I keep a case of these in my pantry at all times. Last year, during a bad flu week, I lived on this soup. I was too sick to cook, too tired to think about food, and this was the perfect easy option. Heat and eat. One can, one meal, zero cleanup. If I had only had the small cans, I would have been opening 2 at a time and wasting money. If I had only had the big cans, I would have been forcing myself to eat more than I wanted or throwing food away. This 18.5-ounce size is a Goldilocks option, and stores are killing it because it does not fit their new shelf plans. Can soup last for years? I have eaten soup that was 3 years past a date. Tasted fine. No issues. If you rely on easy backup meals, grab a case or 2 before the size disappears. Here is one that is going to make meal prep people very upset. Foster Farms frozen chicken breast in the 10-pound bag. Costco is discontinuing this exact product by the end of April. The smaller bags are staying. Other brands are staying. But this specific Foster Farms 10-pound bag is done. This matters because this is the best price per pound on plain, unseasoned chicken breast you'll find at a major retailer. Right now, the 10-pound bag costs about $22. That is $2.20 per pound. The smaller 3-pound bags of chicken breast at a regular grocery store cost around $12, which is $4 per pound. You are paying almost double per pound just because the bulk size is going away. A bodybuilder friend of mine who has been meal prepping for over a decade told me he goes through about 40 pounds of chicken breast a month. He buys these 10-pound bags, breaks them into individual portions, and freezes them flat in gallon freezer bags. When this size gets discontinued, his monthly chicken budget is going to double unless he switches to a lower quality brand or starts buying from Restaurant Depot. I do something similar. I buy 2 or 3 of these bags, portion them into 1-pound vacuum seal packs, and freeze them. When I need chicken, I pull a pack and thaw it. It is like having a personal frozen meat section that costs half as much as buying small packs every week. Frozen chicken lasts at least a year in a deep freezer with no quality loss. I have used chicken that was 18 months old, cooked up perfectly. No freezer burn because it was vacuum sealed. Once this 10-pound format disappears, the only way to get chicken this cheap is to buy whole chickens and break them down yourself, which most people do not have time for. If chicken breast is a regular part of your meals, this discontinuation is going to hurt your budget. Stock your freezer now while you can. This one is so specific that 90% of people will skip right over it. And that is exactly why it matters. Land O'Lakes White American cheese in the 5-pound loaf from the deli section. Not sliced. The loaf. Sam's Club and Costco are discontinuing this by mid-April. The pre-sliced packages are staying. The yellow American is staying. But the white American loaf is getting cut. Here is what food people know that regular shoppers do not. White American cheese is a secret to creamy, smooth cheese sauces that do not break. It melts cleaner than cheddar. It does not get grainy like mozzarella. It is the base of every good queso, every good mac and cheese sauce, and every good cheese dip. A chef I know who ran a Tex-Mex kitchen for 15 years said this is the only cheese they use for queso because it melts perfectly every single time. The 5-pound loaf costs about $16 at Sam's Club. You can cube it, shred it, or slice it yourself. That is $3.20 per pound. Pre-sliced white American at a grocery store deli costs about $7 per pound. You are paying more than double for someone else to slice it. I bought a loaf 2 months ago. I shredded half and froze it in 2-cup portions. I cubed the other half and froze that too. When I want to make mac and cheese or queso, I pull a bag and it melts like fresh cheese. Frozen cheese lasts 6 months easily. I have used shredded cheese that was a year old, melted perfectly. Here's the reality. Once this loaf is discontinued, you're stuck paying deli prices for sliced cheese, or you switch to cheddar and accept that your cheese sauces will not be as smooth. Neither option is ideal. If you make cheese-based dishes regularly, grab a loaf and freeze it in portions. You will thank yourself later. This next item is going to frustrate anyone who makes their own snacks or granola. Kirkland Signature Whole Almonds in the 3-pound bag. Costco is discontinuing this product by the end of April. The smaller bags are staying, and the roasted salted almonds are staying, but the 3-pound bag of plain raw whole almonds is getting axed. This is a quiet but brutal cut. Right now, the 3-pound bag costs about $16. That is $5.33 per pound. A 1-pound bag of raw almonds at a grocery store costs about $9. You're paying almost 70% more per pound when the bulk option disappears. Almonds are one of the most versatile ingredients you can store. I make my own granola, almond butter, trail mix, and I throw them into salads and stir-fries. A 3-pound bag lasts me about 2 months. If I had to switch to buying 1-pound bags, I would spend an extra $10 a month on the exact same almonds. That is $120 a year. Last fall, I made homemade almond butter for the first time. I bought a 3-pound bag of these almonds, roasted them for 10 minutes, and blended them in my food processor for about 8 minutes. That is it. I ended up with almost 3 pounds of fresh almond butter that cost me $16. A jar of almond butter at the store costs $12 for 16 ounces. I made 48 ounces for $16. The store version would have cost me $36. Raw almonds stored in an airtight container in a cool place lasts over a year. I have eaten almonds that were 18 months old, still crunchy, still fresh tasting, no rancidity. Once this 3-pound bag is gone, you're stuck paying grocery store prices for small bags, or you order online and pay shipping. If almonds are part of your routine, grab a few bags before they disappear. And finally, number 12 is something that most people have never even thought about, but it is about to make certain meals way more expensive. Knorr chicken bouillon in the 7.9-ounce jar. Walmart and Kroger are discontinuing this size by early May. The smaller jars and the individual cubes are staying, but the specific larger jar is getting cut. Right now, the 7.9-ounce jar costs about $4. The smaller 3.5-ounce jar costs about $2.50. You're paying almost 40% more per ounce for the smaller size. But here's the bigger insight. Bouillon is a foundation of flavor for anyone cooking on a budget. 1 teaspoon in rice, while it is cooking, turns plain rice into something your family will actually want to eat. 1 tablespoon in a pot of beans makes them taste like you simmer them for hours. A 1/4 teaspoon rubbed on chicken before baking gives it a roasted, savory flavor that tastes way more expensive than it is. I go through one of these jars about every 3 months. If I switch to the smaller jars, I would be spending almost double on the exact same product. Last month, I made chicken and rice for 8 people. Total cost was under $12, and every single person asked for seconds. The secret was 2 teaspoons of this bouillon in the rice and 1 teaspoon rubbed on the chicken. That is it. The jar lasts indefinitely in the pantry. I have bouillon that is 4 years old, still dissolves perfectly, still tastes the same as fresh. Most people do not even realize this larger jar exists, which is why stores are discontinuing it without any pushback. If you cook from scratch at all, this jar is one of the best values in the entire store. Grab 2 or 3 before they're gone. While everyone else is scrambling to replace their favorite products after they're already gone, you now know exactly which 12 items are disappearing this spring and why it matters. These are not viral snacks or trendy foods. These are workhorses. The kinds of products that save you money every single week if you know how to use them. Drop a comment and tell me which one you are grabbing first, because I want to know if I miss anything on your list. And next week, I am breaking down the 7 grocery store brands that are about to raise prices by over 30% with zero warning. If you think inflation has been bad so far, you have not seen anything yet. You do not want to miss that one.